Hey there. As I'm settling in, I invite you to just take a moment and begin to settle in with me. Start to notice where your energy is at. Is it within your body? Or perhaps floating around somewhere? I'm wondering if you can bring your energy back into your body and back into your being with a deep breath. In and out, nice and slow. For those that are just joining me, welcome. Hi, loves. For those that are just joining me that have not been here before, this is a live authoring of a fantasy memoir. For some people it will speak as pure truth. For others it will be strictly fantasy indeed. And wherever you lie on the spectrum is fine. What comes through me works energetically on many different levels. So wherever you are on your own personal journey is exactly where you are supposed to be. I never fully know exactly what's going to come out in these chats, and sometimes I find myself feeling shocked at the information that's flowing through that I too need to hear. Today's talk, I have been told, is a discussion of great importance for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear. Okay, so today's chat is not for everybody. It's for the select few, and if you find yourself here, you're meant to be here, and you're deeply loved. I miss you. All right. It started out with this statement that all of life is but a stage. And isn't that the case when you're living in the land of Oz? I've had a lot of people ask me recently, Brooke, number one, how do you leave Oz if you realize that you are in fact living in this place, in this production studio, in this inversion, this third dimensional space of control and manipulation? If you find yourself living there, how do you leave? Number one. And then how do you stay out of there? Okay. So today's chat is going to be along that vein of thinking, along that vein of functioning, and I'm as curious and as interested as you to see what's going to come out. Welcome to the new setup. Check out my painting. Look what I've been working on. Isn't that cool? The energy is so intense today. I woke up and it's a high pain, high energy day. Not like, I don't feel particularly energized to go do anything, but I'm feeling the energy rush through me, and sometimes that's very intense. Can you relate? In fact, my hips and my low back are tight today, and it feels as though I am energetically birthing something. Maybe you're in the same boat. A lot of times when it really gets moving, I will feel it moving through my body. That is the result of the upgrades that are taking place now within you, if you are organic. You feel it too? All right. Glad I'm not the only one. All right. A lot of times I've noticed I've had this pattern where I will, when I'm feeling some sort of way like I am today, a lot of times my inclination is to want to go rest. It's to want to go take a break. It's to want to kind of retreat and go become my hermit self because it is heavy. But I am feeling such a pull right now that now is not the time to be resting. No, this is the time to be rallying the troops. This is the time to becoming more and more energetically congruent, more sure of what it is that we are creating, more sure of what it is that we would like to see here within Earth. And so here I am with y'all. But one of the things that I wanted to do to make sure I can support my energy, I'd love to be outside with y'all, but it's just too windy. You wouldn't be able to hear anything. So I have flipped my space around a bit. Welcome to my house, where we've lived in 217 square feet quite joyfully for the last couple of years. And I've got this beautiful view of this gorgeous tree out front and these rolling, gorgeous, lush hills where the trees are beginning to change color. There's mostly green, but specks of orange and red and rust color on the horizon. You know, sometimes we have to bring ourselves back to this, back to the simple things in life, don't we? And if you're watching this now, maybe this is a call for you to go add a little bit more of that into your life, some more nature, some more of what is natural. Yeah. I know, Sheena, I feel you. The tired wants to win. I feel that through my being. The tired wants to win. The sleepiness wants to win. How many alarm bells are ringing and have been ringing? And how many people keep hitting snooze? How aware are you of all the people around you hitting snooze? Is it even your tiredness in your body, or are you sensing the sleepiness of the masses? Everything that is at 1, 2, 3, 4 my time. Shake that off, y'all. Shake it off. Let it flow off of you. Chuck it in the fuck it bucket. Send it back from where it came with awareness attached. I shed the sleepiness of everybody else that's not wanting to wake up. And I have some news. The land of Oz is crumbling, and we've known this for a while. Those of us that have eyes to see and ears to hear have been tapping into a different potentiality and a different possibility. We've been feeling a new energy brewing, and we have been watching with our physical eyes as the matrix and the control system and the trauma loop that is Oz begins to disintegrate. This has been a many decades process in progress. We have known for millennia that this time would come, and your being has chosen to be here in this exact body at this exact time for a reason. Isn't it a great time to be alive? Did you ever imagine that it would ever show up this way? Could you ever imagine that this would be the way it would all go down? See, those that are in the know that this time was coming. And I think most of us hoped, because we have kind, good, giving, generous hearts, that it would just happen in a flip. And it would happen with such ease and such automaticity that people would be able to just, rainbows and sunshine. But no. No, see, the truth is, when you were born into a matrix such as Oz that is based off of trauma loops of hurt people hurting people, when you're born into that space, into a production studio, that's what Oz is. It is a production studio. It is designed to produce products and to produce profits. Added bonus if your product can produce more profit by in turn selling another product. That is like the epitome of the ideal marketing chain, is it not? See, from a profit-based perspective, the ideal world is that you actually cultivate and create repeat customers. And so the Land of Oz has been built as a production studio designed to produce repeat customers. How do you produce repeat customers? Well, you separate people from their very nature. You pull them from nature completely. You put them into a box, into a concrete jungle called Oz. You distract them with shoddy simulations of that which is real and natural. You construct a virtual reality and you convince people that that is what is actually so. That's how they created Oz. See, when you've got people living in a place like Oz, when you've got them disconnected from everything that is natural, everything that is real, everything that is grounding, everything that is like true to the essence of your being, and you cut people off from that. And instead you give them synthetic simulations copycat things that were created in a lab that are trying to emulate nature. You disconnect them from that which is true and real. You deceive them. And the people that have been deceived will die, will experience death of the flesh as a result of the deceit that has been perpetuated against them. Okay, Oz is nothing more than a farm. Can't even call it a farm. It's a feedlot. Literally, this is disgusting what I'm seeing right now. It is a feedlot that is designed to literally fatten people up and get them to suckle off the teat of the system so that they can be led off to slaughter. That is the land of Oz. See, the land of Oz was actually built on a foundation of error. It is not truth, and if the people in Oz discover the truth, they reclaim their sovereign power, and they step outside of that system that's designed to keep them stuck. But the overlords of Oz don't want that, because when the people come into their power, the profits start to go elsewhere. Not into the hands of the greedy few, but then are spread amongst the people like me and you. Oz doesn't want that. Oz doesn't want people in power. Oz wants people as slaves and drones inside a system where they can control you. See, but eventually it reaches a point where the overlords at the top have already siphoned so much that there's really not much left to siphon, and there's not much more to make or to cultivate. And so, like, it's an infinite universe, but that's another conversation. So they finally reach a point where they're like, wow, look at all these useless eaters we have in our feedlot. Wow, I'm real sick of feeding all the cattle in the yard. By the way, their shit really stinks. Maybe we should just wipe them out of the land of Oz. And that's the point in time that we find ourselves now in this book that I'm writing. That may look strangely like things that are going on, but I assure you this is just a fantasy memoir. See, the land of Oz is cultivated literally to siphon the power out of people. They do that by cutting people off from themselves, from their source, and they do that just by adding all kinds of layers of debris, all kinds of trauma nonsense that literally blocks the space between the source and the self. I've talked about this before, I've given this analogy before, but I think it's a good one. On a day like today, I've got a great solar system up on our house, so we can be completely off-grid. On a day like today, I've got clear blue skies, and my system is currently pulling in a great deal of energy. There is nothing blocking the sun from hitting the solar panels. Okay, there's a clear conduit of energy right now. Now, if you start to get all kinds of debris, like let's say we park our rig underneath a tree, and so you've got tree branches and leaves, and then a plane is flying over that blocks out the sun for the moment, or some clouds come in, or they spray some chemtrails, or they start a fire somewhere and the smoke is affecting us, right? All of this then becomes a block between the sun and the solar system of my rig. Okay, and there's not that energy flow. And when there's not that energy flow, eventually our entire house runs out of power. And now suddenly all the things that used to work that should be working if the connection between the source and the self was complete and clear, right? If it was congruent, if it had no debris shooting off the energy that's coming through, then everything works. But if that power gets cut off, y'all, we can make it about 4 days of power usage on our batteries, and suddenly our batteries are depleted and they're dead. Because there's not a clear connection from source to self. Are y'all getting the analogy here? Okay, so Oz actually, I better back up. This system right here has to have a clear conduit for truth to flow through, for the energy of truth. You are hardwired for what is true. Now, because you're hardwired for that which is true, all they have to do is lie to you. All they have to do is get you to believe a lie, to get you to perpetuate a lie in the land of Oz, and suddenly you are adding your own debris to yourself between the core of who you really are, who you were designed to be, and your source. And now you've got all of this debris and you've got all this other crap in the way, and the energy is not flowing. And because that energy is not flowing into the space where it's actually intended to be full and present, you suddenly feel like you have a hole in your soul. Do you relate? Look around the places that resemble Oz. How are the people there living? Do they seem fulfilled? Do they seem full of self? Do they seem connected? Can they connect this way? Can they actually look you in the eye and connect with you? The answer is no. Most of them cannot. Now, there are some outliers, and I see some people lighting up like Christmas trees in these Oz spaces, and they are literally bringing the light to the dark. Now, if you were one of these people, and that is part of your mission, I guess, because I'll talk about roles, and that's a different thing. If that is part of your mission, fine, but I have a message for you right now. Just because you are strong enough to outcreate the sensation of living in those spaces in actual physical Oz does not mean that that is where your power is best utilized right now. Okay? If you can create surviving those kind of systems, you can create stepping out of them. And I think that you're being called to do that right now. So this is your invitation, and this is your sign that maybe it's time to leave a physical space that you're living in if it is no longer energetically congruent with the truth of who you really be. All right? So how do you leave Oz? Get a sip of tea here. Hang on. I made myself some pine needle tea this morning from this beautiful pine tree that's right outside the door right here. And as I was pulling the needles to make the tea, I just felt such a rush of love up from the bottom of Mama Earth, up through the tree's roots and through my being. And I just felt how much sustenance and nourishment and yumminess my body was going to have from this. So I don't have to send this to you. This is something you can go find outside. You can just go pluck them off a pine tree, y'all, and grab a handful that look nice and bright green and wash them off and then cut them up and throw them in. I just use my thermal water bottle. Be careful, or you can put it in a jar. You need something with the lid. And then add the boiling water to the sliced up pine needles and let it soak for about 15 minutes with the lid on. And then I add some honey, and I put some special cannabis coconut oil in here too. So that's a jam. This is like real Mama Earth medicine in a cup, y'all. If you're organic and you have been noticing some symptoms from hanging out with GMO kind of people, this is the thing to drink. It will help resolve any of that's going on, okay? See, in the land of Oz, this would be a punch bowl antidote for those that have been around that. And for those that are experiencing things, if you've decided to drink from the punch bowl, like, please stop going back to the punch bowl. Please, for real. And get yourself some of this going on, okay? All right. Okay. How do you leave the land of Oz? Step number 1. Realize that the land of Oz is an illusion. Now, have they constructed very real, physical, you can actually go be engaged in the Oz system kind of places? Yes. Yeah, they have. But Oz, first and foremost, anything that exists in the physical first has to exist energetically. I'm going to say that again. If something is showing up in your reality, it first had to show up energetically. Now, apply whatever label you want. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever. It was there energetically first. Okay, so how exciting, because that which you are creating energetically now with your intention, when you intentionally go seek out the great beyond, when you seek out truth, when you seek out nature, when you go find yourself actually being held by the energy of this earth that is like thriving. When you go be a part of that, your energy is actually creating the new. Okay, so everything that is presently showing up in your reality is the product of past energy. So if you want to exit Oz, if you want to leave behind the Emerald City with the man behind the curtain, the production studio, the slaughterhouse that has been literally feeding off of and siphoning off of your energy, if you want to leave that kind of energetic space, you must leave it energetically first. Okay? See, Oz does this clever inversion thing. And they try to present to you that in order to be happy or be successful, that you need to have X, Y, and Z first. And in order to have that, you need to do this. Okay? It's all ass backwards, and it's all designed to keep you forever seeking and struggling and never actually hitting success. See, if you go out into nature and you look around nature, you will see success and thriving and abundance all around you. Even in those places where human hands have gotten involved and have tried to rape and pillage the space, nature still wants to thrive. Nature is still finding ways to bring life back to those spaces. Okay, so thriving and abundance and well-being is your natural state. And I know that because when I go into nature and I see that which is natural, I'm reminded of that truth. And when I'm reminded of that, it resonates through every single bit of my being. And you will feel it. For some people, it's kind of like a gut feeling, like a or like a okay, or a For me, I get tingly from the top of my head all the way down to my feet and then back up again. Some people have truth bumps. They have chills pop up on their arms. Okay? You need to be spending more time intentionally with that which is true and that which is real. You need to be spending more and more time around more people that are in that space. Not the people that are still in the production studio of Oz. Okay? Remember, production studio of Oz is based around error. The great beyond is truth. Oz is error. It's based off of that which is incorrect, that which is a lie, that which is a half-truth, that which is a missing of the mark. It is the way of the world. People have described it as sin. Okay, sin is an archery term. It just means to miss the mark. But all of Oz is built off of that. Now, there are many people right now waking up in Oz that are realizing that they have real eyes, and they are realizing all of the real lies that have been told in the land of Oz. Lies about all kinds of things. Lies about the very foundation on which we plant our feet. Lies about our history. Lies about our capability, our power, our potential. The fact that this human flesh meat suit that you drive around in every day is the most highly tuned, high-tech piece of technology on the planet right now, in this realm right now. Okay, there are people that are beginning to wake up to this truth. They're beginning to wake up to how much we have been falsely, unnecessarily, like a puppet with some puppet strings controlling people that actually have free will and choice within their being. People are waking up to how much that has been happening. People are waking up to the reality that Oz actually was sent and created, not for your success, but to steal, kill, and destroy you. So how do you leave behind Oz? Well, first off, you've got to recognize it's a space of being, and you've probably been pretty damn addicted to being there. Now, it's not really your fault. You were born into it. The goldfish does not know the quality of the water that it's swimming in. It doesn't know it's in this murky bowl you haven't cleaned in 3 months. It doesn't realize that there's streams and lakes and other things it could be swimming in. No, it just knows it's murky bowl. Okay, so you've got to realize you've been swimming in a murky bowl, first and foremost. And you got to realize, like, open your eyes and go outside and realize that there are those streams and rivers and lakes. And if you're a salmon and you can do the cool, like, freshwater, saltwater thing, you could swim in the ocean too. You've got to actually, I think so many people work on the backwards direction because, again, they inverted everything. But if you can actually start up here and you can begin to open this up so that you can begin to receive the flow of energy direct from source, it will begin to then expand your vision. And you will begin to receive visions of what else is coming, of what else is possible outside of Oz. And if you can expand this vision, what you can see in your mind, you will hold in your hand. That was true. So if you can receive a vision of something greater, you are actually then on that timeline of creating something greater. And by the way, this connection exists always. Take off the block, take off the hat, take off the thing that's covering it. Imagine and visualize it opening up like a lotus flower and allowing just that beautiful sunlight to come down and to just rain over you. Go this direction and I promise you, you're going to find success this time. See, I lived in Oz for a very long time, and I continued to live in physical Oz long after, by my own making, it was my last hanging thing, long after I began to step energetically out of Oz. And then even once I stepped physically out of Oz and literally into the woods, there have still been things, like old habits run deep, old threads run deep. There have still been things that I've had to go back and unravel after leaving physical Oz. In fact, there were many things that I couldn't unravel yet until I left. Okay? So, how do you leave Oz? Yes, and both. You've got to leave it energetically, and I do believe some people right now are definitely being called to leave physically. To pack up your stuff, to realize that you are the priority yourself, that other things are just things. There might be stuff that you need to leave behind. There likely will be physical things, emotional baggage, woulda, coulda, shouldas. Okay? The person that's making the journey from Oz into the great beyond must travel lightly. And you might start out on that journey and you might, want to bring it all and all the people and all the things and all the stuff with you. You're going to find out very quick that kind of pack and those kind of attachments to other people that might not be coming on this journey. This journey is not for everyone. That is too much to carry, that it is not your load, and you need to set it down. Okay? So leave Oz energetically first. Make a decision. I am going to heal myself. Oz is held in place by trauma loops of hurt people hurting people. But when you make a conscious decision to become one of the people that is healed, a new cycle is created and healed people begin healing people. The truth of who you are begins to come online, who you were designed to be. There's this magic and this energy that begins to flow through you that this earth needs right now. You've got to be listening to that little voice, that little feeling, that go here, that do this, and you need to do it now. Okay? It's allowing that animal instinct, that part of our nature, to take root within our being again. See, Oz, when they removed people from nature, people forgot their nature. And Oz actually removed people from their place in the food chain. And in doing so, they removed the human significance in the ecosystem. And you know what every single human being actually on this planet desires is to feel significant, to feel like they belong, and to have fun. You know what Oz stole from people? They made people think that they're small little farts, they're not capable of anything. They stole their significance. The truth is, you are a living, breathing organism in a divine ecosystem that is meant to work in harmony with synergy. You have to find your sovereignty and disconnect from those false sources of security if you want to step into that, though. When we were removed from the food chain, an interesting thing happened. These very natural inclinations, these bits of us that are meant to live with the earth, that are meant to actually follow her seasons and to be able to listen to her. There's supposed to be just this innate communication between us and the ecosystem around us. This is the Garden of Eden. We never left it. We only left it energetically. We've been stomping on it and destroying it and sucking the life force out of it when we could be living in harmony with it, allowing it to provide for us and to protect us if only we would hear. The way that things have been done in Oz are not the ways of the future, and they are falling and failing very quickly because we're waking up to the truth of what's been happening. We're waking up to the truth that Oz has done everything in error. The financial system has been operated in error. The food system, the medical system, the schooling system, every single bit of it has been designed to kill, steal, and destroy. It is not human nature. We've spent 400 years collectively with this strict focus on science and innovation and building shit, materialism. We've spent 400 years literally seeing how quickly we could overtake the land. And it certainly ain't working out for us because we've created a society and a culture of people worldwide that are depressed, that are suicidal, that are addicted, that deal with heart disease and stroke and all kinds of illnesses and cancers and things that would never exist if we were not living this way. Well-being is your natural state. That is what it is to be in the great beyond. That is what it is to be the truth of who you really are. And feeling the energetic upgrades and upheavals, sure, but coming back always to a state of well-being. So how do you leave the land of Oz? Well, Oz has been running every single system and creating every symptom for all of my life, all of my parents' lives, all of my grandparents' lives, all of my great-grandparents' lives. So we've got a generational issue on our hands. All right. And I think if you are going to exit Oz, you first have to realize that Oz was not built in a day, and Oz is not exited in a day. Okay, so I no longer live in Oz as a state of being, meaning the bullshit that Oz pulls and the fear and the propaganda and the control and the manipulation and the coercion that they try to pull doesn't affect me anymore. Now, I am very aware and empathic, and I do feel the energy of the collective and of the people that are dealing with Oz. But Oz, I can turn that off. I can tap into it when I want to. The undertakings of Oz have no effect on me. I am always provided for. I am always protected. Because I'm not looking to Oz, a man-created system, to support me. I'm actually looking straight to source. And I'm willing to show up as myself, so there is a clear conduit, which puts me always in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing with the right people, saying the right thing to the right someone. Always. I needed to hear that. It's true. So if you want to leave Oz, you need to realize that Oz has been built on error, and then you need to go on the journey to discover the truth. Truth. Truth is established. It is unchanging. It is unperturbed, meaning it doesn't froth at the mouth and get all angry. It doesn't need to. Now, is truth sometimes tough love? Yes. And you're welcome. Okay, because love without any kind of tough isn't often love at all. It's just condoning and codependency. It's just Now, that being said, make sure you're not being militant towards the wrong people. Okay? All right. Truth is unperturbed. Truth is beyond beauty. It is sovereignty. It is synergy. It is harmony. It is well-being. And it starts by being that energetically. It starts by an actual decision. A decision. I'm stepping out of Oz. I'm breaking these generational chains. I am the intercessor. I am the one in my family that was sent here to end this once and for all. That is the move. Okay, and then what does it look like physically in your reality? Well, I can tell you what it looked like for me. It's going to look different for you. What it looked like for me was, if I have this whole game board of my life and everything that I thought was going to happen, deciding to actually step into truth looked like someone went like this and threw the game board in the air and all the pieces went flying. And it felt very much for a while like my entire life and my entire existence was flipped upside down, because it very much was. And everything fell apart. Every single thing that I had actually built in Oz in order to please somebody else. Every single thing that I had built off of a shadowy part of myself, every single piece that I had, every choice that I had made, every decision I had made off of, feeling worthless or not good enough or trying to fit in, all of that fell apart the moment I decided to seek after truth. And in the moment of leaving Oz, it was terrifying. Because, here the sky is falling and every single thing that I have ever known, this bowl that I've been living my goldfish life in, obliterated. And my first thought was like, oh my gosh, how is my little goldfish self gonna swim? I can't breathe. Little did I know that I had been in that decision. I'd been thrown into a bigger space with more breathing room. It took me a minute to get acclimated because the water wasn't so cloudy anymore. It's really interesting, too, because you might make a decision to leave the land of Oz, to leave this production studio, this slaughterhouse. You might decide to leave, and you might be, living in truth and living in the light and living in possibility for a little while, and you might find yourself sliding back or falling really unexpectedly, knock the wind out of you back into Oz. You're not broken for that happening. You're not flawed or missing the mark or off pace or any of that if that happens. You're just human. You're just a sweet human that has been programmed and poisoned by Oz for so long that sometimes it sneaks back up and grabs you. Okay? And because Oz is something that is so pervasive through all of the system, and all of the systems have been built by the overlords of Oz, leaving them completely right now in this 10 seconds is quite a feat. I live a very free life. I'm not there yet. I'm still tangled up in Oz. I still, until I have an off-the-grid, self-sustaining land that produces everything that the land and the people on it require, like I'm desiring, like I'm creating, until I've reached that point, I'm still enmeshed with Oz. I still go to the grocery stores and use their monetary system, and probably will until it falls here in a couple weeks. Time is kind of a tricky thing. Don't ever quote me on time, because it's all an illusion anyway. But see, the land of Oz is crumbling. And one of the next things to fall in Oz will be the financial system. And there will be a new one coming on out of necessity. Now, you could have a, oh my God, the sky is falling moment, and you could spend the very rest of your existence here on Earth freaking out, swimming in fear, being in panic. It's very Oz-like. Some people will spend an eternity in Oz. They will literally spend the rest of their existence in Oz because that's what they're choosing. Now, thankfully, Fear, manipulation, coercion, propaganda, bullshit doesn't have to be the dominating factor in your life unless you choose for that to be the case. Okay, like you can actually choose to take the bridge out of Oz. You can just make a decision. So over here you've got, actually this is better, this looks more beautiful. Okay, over here you've got Oz, right, in this like manufactured system of control. It's dark, it's dense, it's heavy. And then over here you've got the great beyond and like rainbows. You gotta like make the leap. You gotta actually make a choice. I'm gonna get out of here. That means that there is radical, like scare your freaking socks off, radical personal accountability and personal responsibility. If you think for 1 minute that you are going to get out of Oz by some knight in shining armor, like swooping up outside the gate to carry you off to some foreign land without you doing any work, ha ha. Now you might get lucky and you might have some Sherpas along the way, some other people on the journey that have been through some things that can impart some wisdom to you, that can share something that might open your eyes or spark a new idea or set you on your path. But the journey from the land of Oz to the great beyond is yours and yours alone. No one else can do that for you. You wouldn't want them to. If somebody else carried you up the hill, your legs would not be doing the strenuous work to actually develop the strength to, when you get to the top of the mountain, to actually have the character to be able to stand there. Okay? People that are dropped on tops of mountains don't stay there. People that earn it, that actually climb up there energetically, do. Like I said, everything has to be done energetically first, okay? And we are in a destined, predetermined, spoken about forever. Those that know, those that see, have known that this time is coming, and we are here. Oz is falling. This is the end of Oz. Okay? Now, the end of Oz might take 7 minutes or 7 days or 7 weeks or 7 months or 7 years, and I don't know. I do know, actually. They're like, you do know. It'll be different for everyone. See, they've spoken for a while about a time of great tribulation. And a time of great tribulation, tribulation is like when everything in your life just feels like it's an upheaval and madness. And I think that people have to go through that. I know that I had to go through that. I had to have a certain level of pain before I was finally willing to make a choice and to choose something else. You know, I think we, by human nature, get a little bit cozy and comfortable in our goldfish bowl. It's like good enough, I guess. Meanwhile, like the algae is building up. You can't even get a clear view outside. You're choking a little bit. Your own shit that you're swimming in. It's fine. I'm totally fine. Y'all, FINE stands for freaking insane, neurotic, and emotional. If you're saying you're fine, you need to get right and real with yourself. No, you're not. A few days ago I did a chat about don't be lukewarm, be ice cold or red hot. This is kind of that same thing. Okay? If you're at a point of saying that you're fine, you're actually really swimming in your shit, and you need to go find a good closed-mouth friend that you can open up to and speak the truth to. And the truth might not be a pretty thing for you to acknowledge. It often is not a pretty thing. It always becomes a beautiful thing. I have this really huge tattoo on my side that I got at a point in my life where I felt like my life was just an utter disaster. And it says disaster if you look at it from that angle. But if you like flip me over, look from the other way, it says beautiful. And I think a lot of people right now that are watching the reality of Oz fail and fade are in this space of like, this really looks like a disaster right now. Oh my God, what am I going to do? But if you can just lean into that space, you can realize that there's actually something beautiful that is going to grow from the ashes. And it all depends on your perspective. It all 100% depends on your energetic state of being. And that's something that you have direct and immediate control over right now. Okay. So how do you get out of Oz? You start becoming full of yourself. You become radically accountable, radically responsible. Every single shitty thing that's popping up in your reality right now, you own it. You say, I chose that. Because the truth is, like, whether or not you want to admit it, even those shitty things you have chosen. Now, it might be because you've been so addicted to playing the roles that Oz suggested that you play in Oz, that you've just been entrenched in a pattern of behavior. See, in Oz, they'll actually put you in different positions and have you play different characters and different personas in order to fit in order to be successful, in order to have a job, in order to buy your food. And they'll try to put you in this position and they'll try to get you to play a role. And most people will spend their entire lives and their entire existence wrapped up in that. And they will continue showing up and they will continue playing a character. They will show up to the production studio of Oz and they'll put on their hat and go to costumes and get all into the part. And they'll keep acting out the scene over and over and over again by habituation. It has become an automatic working part of their brain, an automatic working part of their being. They are so far into the role and playing the act that they don't even realize that they're playing it until after the scene has ended and the curtain has closed. And then they're like, oh wow, oh my God, there's that pattern again in my relationships or my body or my money or, whatever it is that's affecting you. That thing, that pattern that keeps being habituated is because you have been participating in Oz. You've been playing a role. So what kind of roles do people play in Oz? Well, sometimes they act like they're in an adult body, but they'll act like they're a complete child. They will act completely helpless. They're like totally dependent. Y'all, if you got a grown-up body, it is time to put on your grown-up big girl pants, okay? You are not dependent on anyone outside of you. You are dependent on yourself and on your source. And when you get that right and you get that clear and congruent, you won't ever feel like a petulant little throwing a fit child again. There's some adults out there that are acting like that. They're like kicking their feet and screaming. Epic toddler tantrum. How's that shit working out for you? I gotta tell you, in my house, that gets you a timeout real fast. We don't tolerate that behavior. We will leave what you were wanting to do and we will go. Okay? So that kind of stuff might work in Oz, inside the production studio where they actually want you to play a part, where they actually want you participating in these trauma loops of behavior. Because when you act like that, when you throw a fit like a little child, you're actually traumatizing someone else. You're actually perpetuating the trauma loop. You're doing the work for the overlords of Oz that keeps you small and stuck. So if you're a grown-up out there, you've been acting like that, stop it. Reparent yourself. I got it. Like, your childhood was messed up. So was mine. Welcome to the club. We were born in Oz. What are you, the grown-up, going to do about it? You are responsible for your life. Realize that and you'll be much closer to where you really want to be. Okay, so you might play the child. You might, this is on the same kind of vein, you might play the victim. And be honest with yourself right now. You know, there's likely some people, as I start to talk about this, they'll click off the video because they so don't want to see where they've been playing this part. And I just invite you to be uncomfortable with us. I just invite you to open the door and to not click off quite yet, because there's probably something here that needs to be heard. That thing that has you like, resist! Ah, don't look there! Is the very exact thing that you need to go look at, because it will set you free. There went one. I always wonder who it is. That's so funny. I love y'all. I love y'all madly, wildly. Okay, so are you playing the victim? The victim is like, ah, poor me! Everything always happens to me! Meanwhile, it's like, the victim doesn't usually want to notice where inside they've been feeling this like, hey, you should do this. Oh, hey, this needs to be handled. No, see, the victim, when they hear this little nudging from the inside, they're like, I don't feel like doing that right now. I'm not going to do that. That's too much to do. I'm just going to sit here. And they're like, I'm not, whatever your vice is, right? But the victim wants to put things off. The victim wants to pass off blame. They want to put their stuff on someone else's plate. They don't want to take responsibility. They actually become so entrenched in the victim mentality, and it becomes an identity. And I've been there. Like, I only ever talk about things that I know about, y'all. So I'm just calling myself out because I've seen all this shit in me. I'm freaking great at playing the victim. Oh, poor me! It's not freaking poor me. I'm not stuck. I'm not a tree. I'm not like rooted where I'm at. I can make a different choice. I can move. You're not a victim to your circumstance. You are often a victim to your own choices. Your choices have consequences, okay? So if you want to stop being a victim in your life, make a different choice, and you will have different consequences appear. If you remove the label, a consequence is just a result for a choice. It's the result after an action. So you take an action, and life presents you a natural consequence for that choice that you made. Now, those consequences can either be something that expands and enhances your life, or it can be something that is, more punishing. That is a slap on the wrist, if you will, to get you going in a different direction. But you are the co-creator of those consequences popping up in your life. If you want to actually have your power back, you need to step out of that role. You are a sovereign being. That means you are responsible for your own hula hoop. Okay, so everybody reach around you, pretend like you got a hula hoop here. I suck at hula hooping, by the way. Can't for the life of me figure it out. Pretend like you have a hula hoop around you. Okay, this hula hoop is what's your business. Now notice, how many people can I fit inside my hula hoop? Mostly me. Okay? I might come in and hug some people, but then my hula hoop just kind of bends and moves. It's still here. I'm responsible for me. If I'm trying to get my business all involved in everybody else's hula hoop, now I'm not allowing them to be the sovereign being that they really are. I'm responsible for this in my bubble, and quite frankly, there are many things happening inside this hula hoop that I am not in control of, y'all. Right now, my whole body is doing all kinds of processes that I don't even have to think about, that I'm not consciously involved in. So there are very few things in this physical reality that I'm actually supposed to be in control of. Now, the Land of Oz makes you want to think that you need to be in control of every single fucking little thing. The Land of Oz has had people grow up in so much chaos and so much confusion that the coping mechanism that they have developed to survive that is to try to control everything and to try to control everyone. So this is another role that you might be playing in the Land of Oz. Are you a controller? Maybe another title. Are you a boss? Are you bossy? Do you try to have this like master-slave complex? You know, with each one of these, there's also the equal but opposite. Okay? So if you might not be the child, maybe there's another child in your relationships, someone that behaves that way, but then where are you being overly motherly, overly parental? That's an enabling behavior. Where are you being an addict? Where are you being an enabler? These are things that you actually have to begin to look at, because if you want to create something different, you have to take off that hat. You have to realize, like, gosh, whoa, I did it again. I totally, like, this isn't even real life. This is just an illusion. This is just a repetitive pattern. This is just the same old story. This is just the same old plot line all over again. By the way, guys, there's only 7 major plot lines that have ever been made. How much of your life is just repeating those same 7 stupid plot lines over and over again? Look, when you like realize I'm in a pattern, this is the same thing that keeps happening, you've got to realize I showed up to the set. I chose to play that character today. I showed up and I spoke my lines. And you'll begin to notice there are certain lines that come out of your mouth that are habituated. They are automatic when you are in character, when you are playing a role. And you'll start to notice it and you'll be like, whoa. And then you'll start to notice the roles that the other people are playing in this great stage of life, in this great production studio. And then you'll start to notice like how your roles feed off of each other and how you get this like little thing going back and forth. And now here's the really frustrating thing about it. You won't be able to do a damn thing about it. You're actually like, in trying to leave Oz and trying to seek the great beyond and truth, you actually will be so entrenched in Oz for a little while, and it'll feel frustrating through your whole being because you'll notice it happening, but you won't be able to do anything about it. You'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm in this pattern again. Listen to my mouth. What is my mouth saying right now? Listen to that. Oh my God, look at that fit I'm throwing. It'll be this weird, like, out-of-body experience where you're almost like watching somebody else move through your body and live your life for you. Now, there's beauty in that, because when that happens, eventually, right? Like, if you become aware and the consciousness, the light begins to shine on that thing that was hidden, it goes from unconscious to conscious. It goes from not being aware of it to being aware of it. Now I can actually see it. So then the next time that you encounter that, you might actually notice yourself. Oh, whoa, I'm playing that character again. Not today. And I've actually caught myself like, oh man, babe, I am so sorry. I am being a victim right now. Or he'll call me on it. Or I'm like, I'm throwing a fit, I'm being a child. Why don't I just ask for what I need with a big girl voice? Why don't I like calm down and say please and see what happens? And you'll get to a point, right, where you begin to actually be able to see it happening in the moment, and you're able to make a different choice. And then eventually you'll be living your life and you'll notice yourself walking up to the set to get into the costume. And you'll be able to stop yourself there before you ever even get into costume. And then eventually you'll reach a point where like you realize you're walking into the production studio that is Oz, but you stop yourself outside the door. And you look at this building with all of its fake lights and all of its bullshit, CGI and lighting and cameras and nonsense that's literally intended to create an illusion, that is literally intended to deceive you. You will walk up to that door, you will see the door, and you'll be like, you know what? I've played this game for too long and I'm not participating anymore. And you'll pull your hand off the handle and you will turn your happy ass around and you will walk away back into that which is natural and real and true. But it is a process. See, and so many people forget that it is a process. They want to be perfect right now. Perfection is not the aim of the game. Progress is. Okay, like, can you just be a little bit more who you really are today than you were yesterday? Now, who are you really? Who is your true self? You know, I've done a lot of diving into this, and I truly believe, and I know through all of my being, that each one of us is uniquely, divinely designed. There are things about you that I've got major chills right now. There is no one else like you. The probability of you being alive on the planet, first off, is a 1 in 4 trillion chance. And unfortunately, our programming and our poisoning on this planet are actually increasing those odds greatly. You need to begin to realize the truth that you are a miracle. That miracles happen every single day. The fact that you're here living and breathing, the fact that you are seeing the truth of Oz, the fact that you're not falling for their bullshit, you are a miracle. Because Oz is an expert at what they do. Oz has mastered the art of manipulation. They have mastered the art of programming and poisoning. And the fact that you are here right now today with breath in your lungs, standing strong in your conviction, knowing who you are, knowing what you're here for, knowing what you would like to have, you are a miracle. Not fallen for it. Freaking high five. Seriously. Proud of you. For real. See, something's happening right now. But each individual, each person, this unique, beautiful puzzle piece that you are, like, that's how I've seen humanity since the time I was about 7. I had this spiritual experience. And I saw each person on the planet being this beautiful puzzle piece. And each puzzle piece was a work of art, unique, beautiful, captivating in itself. But each piece that was whole and complete was part of this greater, whole, complete thing. And when each individual piece came together, it made just the most mind-blowing, beautiful tapestry that I have ever seen. And it was dynamic, effervescent, illuminating, beautiful. And then in this spiritual experience, I watched each piece then begin to go gray and dim and the light turn out, and I realized that that's what Oz is doing. That's the design of Oz, is to have the light go out. Oz wants to put you in such a cage, in such a production studio, cutting you so off from yourself, who you really are, that unique, beautiful work of art, and your source, you know, the life force that comes through you, the breath that is in your lungs, the chi energy that's flowing. Oz turns off that light. Your job right now to get out of Oz is to go back in. Like, use your imagination right now. Imagine yourself dropping into your being. Go find where your master breaker box is, your master power switch. And go and flip that baby back on. Allow that energy to be restored between yourself and your source. And as you feel the energy flow both directions, up and down, and then front and back through you, and then all around you, as you feel that energy come back, as you feel that life force turn back on, as you feel yourself expand. Oh, that feels better. As you feel that happen, know that your puzzle piece just came back to light and just came back to life. And each one of us, as we spark back up and we light back up, we're reigniting this tapestry. We're bringing the life back to it. We're bringing the art back to it. We're bringing the heart back to it. What a beautiful thing. Like, what a beautiful time to be alive. To realize that all of life is not just a stage, but that life is actually a beautiful co-creation between yourself and your source to bring heaven actually here on earth right now. How do you go from Oz to the truth, to the great beyond? You choose. You choose. And then come hell or high water, you do every single thing that is required to get there and to stay there. All the crazy leaps of faith, the strenuous days where you don't want to get up and put on your pack, the days where your lower back hurts a bit, like it does today. You keep getting up, and every single day, every single moment, you keep choosing truth. You keep choosing well-being. You keep choosing. That's your superpower. And if you find yourself falling back down into indecision ditch, that is the space between Oz and truth. It is a weird limbo area. Know that you are only in indecision ditch because you're being indecisive. How do you get out of indecision ditch? You make a decision. You make a choice. And now you can choose Oz or you can choose truth and the great beyond. It's your choice. Each choice will have a consequence. What do you choose? Now, if you choose and you realize you didn't actually want to make that choice, well, congratulations. 10 seconds from now, you can make another choice. All right, and you're not going to be out of Oz overnight. Oz has controlled everything. Are you kidding? So you might have a whole lot of tangly-wangly things with Oz. But you begin to leave Oz energetically. So you stop looking at your job as your source of security. It is not. Your boss, your government are not a source of security. They're not. Your source is your source of security. Period. Okay? You stop allowing other people to decide for you. Sorry if I'm cutting out, you guys. Sometimes they intentionally scramble shit when I get into real things. Isn't it lovely being shadow banned? There is so much that's unfolding right now. And it looks like I might have been dumped completely. And if I did, that's okay. Perhaps that was just where this message was meant to end. See, truth is established. It is unchanging. It is unchangeable. It is unperturbed. It is unbothered. The truth is not afraid of being exposed because it is the truth. I'm going to say that again. The truth is not afraid of being exposed. The truth will never fight exposure because the truth is the truth. That which is resistant to being exposed is based off of lies. So go investigate those places within yourself and within your life. Look at the roles that you've been playing. I'll find it this afternoon and I'll post it for y'all. I think it would be helpful. All right, and then how do you come back to being yourself? Who is yourself truly? If you're being this lit up, beautiful, unique, here by divine design, special you, what is that? Well, yourself is sovereign. Okay? Concerned about your own hula hoop. Making choices for yourself. Completely accountable. Completely responsible. A co-creator with source in your life. Sovereign. Not at the effect of other things. You are the cause in your life. You hear that? That means if you're sovereign, you're not affected by your work's decision or the bullshit going on in Oz. You know you're secure, you're going to stand firm in your convictions, and the new path will be unfolded for you. Sovereign. Okay? Your real self is esteemed. To have esteem, to have self-esteem means to have self-love. It means to have self-worth. It means to know your value. It means to know through your being that you are this gorgeous piece of this gorgeous tapestry, that you are whole and complete, and to have love for self. To be esteemed is to be full of self. When I am full of myself, I'm full. I have a cup that runneth over. I can love on and give to other people. Okay? So full of self. That means actually like doing things for yourself. Things that have you be well. When you are well, you apply your own oxygen mask first. Then you can give to other people. But that has to be the first step. Okay? Sovereign, esteemed, luminous. The real you, the truth of who you really are, is lit up with the light of truth. You are a luminous lighthouse. It just glows from you. You walk into the room and you literally shift the energy of the space because you are so bright. You are light, and your body is becoming more and more luminous, and your emotional body and your energetic body are becoming more and more luminous. And this beautiful puzzle piece that is uniquely you is now lit up and luminous. You are lighting up the tapestry that is this existence. And then finally, sovereign, esteemed, luminous. Notice we're spelling self. The last one is fierce. See, when Oz pulled everybody out of nature, and they pulled everybody out of the truth of who they are, out of their nature, they took man out of the food chain, but they couldn't turn off that switch, that innate thing within us. There is an innate fierceness within you that, number one, actually should be plugged into the food chain. This is one of the shifts that's happening, where people are actually going to come back to knowing where their food comes from and being an active participant in that process. This is part of rehabbing the earth and rehabbing ourselves. That's going to happen, but that's another talk. There is this thing that happens in nature where when a human being actually is part of the food chain, they realize two things. I must actually take action if I'm going to eat today, and I may have to take action so I don't get eaten today. Okay, there is a fierceness, there is a bitch switch, if you will, that nature has, that Oz has medicated out of people. Now, they pull people from nature, but they can't remove this innate need to actually like hunt and fish and grow and gather. This thing, it's just human nature. It's so part of how we function, how we're meant to be here on earth in the Garden of Eden, that it's like you can remove the person from the environment, but you can't remove that from the person. It's always there. So we actually have people living in Oz that have this innate need to hunt that are now hunting other people. You wonder where a lot of weird behaviors come from. It's that. And then to quell that like raging monster that really actually physically needs to go work, that needs to go hunt, that needs to go be an active participant in nature, what we do then is we medicate those people. We call them crazy and we drug them up. We make them more and more docile, more and more easy to control, less and less emotional. In fact, like we've made emotionality a problem in our culture. Well, they did that. They control your thoughts, which is the masculine energy. And then they don't allow you to feel your emotions, which is the feminine energy. And that allows them to have complete control over the child that is born from weird thinking and no emotion allowed. It's chaos. Okay? There is a fierceness that exists in nature that is like the mama bear switch. It is I am willing to inflict painful, fast, sufficient consequences. This is my boundary, and if you cross it, I will come at you with a fierceness you will know. And that's missing in people right now. So if you want to live in truth and you want to live out of Oz, you need to actually turn back on your fierceness. Now, this does not mean that you go off and you be all militant and cracking whips and flipping tables on the wrong kind of people. The wrong kind of people would be like, if you were trying to do that towards good people, people that are being themselves, okay? No, be fierce in the face of opposition that is trying to shut down your sovereignty. Be fierce towards those that are wanting to infringe on your hula hoop or that of your children. Be fierce in upholding the truth. And you're going to find all kinds of life force energy come back through you. All right, y'all. So much love to everybody today. It looks like I've been bleeped out again. But I will see if this is quality. Hopefully it is. And we'll get it downloaded and re-uploaded and shared, etc. I'm on Telegram at The Real Brooke Mackey and also on Telegram in the Bee Space and the Beehive if you'd like to join us there. And so much love to all of you. We'll chat soon.